Good morning. I'm excited to be with you and to spend some time together today talking about high school outreach. My name's Katie Stokes. I'm the chair of the Department of Accounting and Financial Studies at Rochester Christian University in Rochester Hills, Michigan. And I'm excited to share some resources that can help you create a strategy to engage high school business students and recruit them to the accounting and CPA profession, and of course, our wonderful programs. Today we're going to go over the goals and purpose of this important work. We're going to teach you how to understand your audience, and we'll find out those are audiences, plural. We're going to help you build and leverage a team. You already have a full-time job, you don't need another one. We'll talk about steps to make an outreach plan and share some important resources that can be helpful. Creating engaging experiences for high school students to learn about the accounting profession is hard work. Our presentation today can act as a roadmap to help you give students a meaningful experience without making it another full-time job. My hope is that this presentation will inspire and empower you to find at least one new way to connect with high school business students over the course of the next academic year. As a reminder for why this work matters, over half of college students are undecided about their major when they come to us after high school graduation. So it's a huge opportunity to help students find their fit and recognize their own individual strengths and interests at a time when they're open and engaged. So there's power in investing first and opening these doors for high school students, and what a gift as educators that we get to facilitate those moments. All right, we're going to start jumping in now. So our first area of focus is understanding and knowing your audiences. Why isn't it just singular? It's plural because high school students do not exist in a vacuum, but they rely heavily on input from various stakeholders that we've addressed here. And as we plan our outreach, we want to be really intentional in including those other groups in our efforts. So starting off with high school students, during these formative years, they're really looking to develop their own identity. They want to identify their unique personal strengths and interests, so programming that speaks to that can be really impactful. We also want to open up their world a little bit and show them the possibilities that exist with a CPA career, so bringing some of those resources into the classroom. It might be the first time that these students get to engage with the CPA profession. We also want to help them confirm their decision. So high school students can be really uncertain, and they're going to want a lot of confirmation and validation as they navigate this process. So helping them find their fit and saying, hey, I noticed that you do this really well. There are some ways that this plugs into sort of a broader profession and community that might be a good path for you. So addressing each of these other stakeholders and how we can include them. First group we have is parents. These are our highest impact influencers. High school students are looking to their parents to help them define their values, measure their success, decision confirmation again, and gauging whether or not this career path is a possibility for them. Is it a realistic option for me? Could I do this? And so when we engage with parents, some information that can be helpful for them is transparent information around earnings and career pathways, reassuring them of the opportunities that are available as a CPA, and the job security that comes with that. We can also help them navigate the cost of education. As you know, a lot of times when you're laying out some of the educational requirements for the CPA, it can be intimidating, so helping to connect them with those resources and developing a plan for them to fund the education can help reassure them. And a lot of times parents, when I engage with high school parents, they're really looking at me as, are you going to be a trustworthy mentor for my student? At small schools especially, there's a lot of expectation around kind of that stewardship of the student's next 4 years, and so being able to speak to that can be especially effective with parents. Our second most impactful group is high school educators. The students are looking to the educators, again, for exposure, opening up their idea of what does it mean to be a business professional. Also, to help them find fit, the educators are going to know them and their strengths well, so they can be helpful in pointing students in the right direction. And validation again, am I making a good choice? So in our interactions with high school educators, we want to partner in bringing in high impact learning experiences into their classrooms. We should be making their lives a little bit easier, not giving them extra work to do. We can also bring in industry exposure for students, and that includes professionals and sort of a group that maybe doesn't immediately spring to mind, your own students. Your college students represent that next step for these high schoolers, and so seeing that can be a little bit more accessible version of what's to come. You can also volunteer and support the work that they're already doing in the classroom. Simply showing up for a high school capstone event can lead to further partnerships. That's one of the ways that I've engaged with high school educators and built those relationships successfully. And you can also offer them funding through programs like the MAF Educators Grant. The other two areas I just want to touch on, but they're not as important. So bringing in professional role models, these make a moderate impact. This is important in that students are looking, as they're learning more about the CPA path, to see representation, to see what is, I call it future me, look like, and is future me showing up in these places? So keeping that in mind. Also, for better or for worse, the professionals you bring into the classroom are going to become those students' personification of what is accounting. What is that as an individual? What are accountants like? As they form those ideas, and so making sure that you're bringing in professionals who are engaging, who are warm, who are welcoming, who are encouraging is going to be really important in the effectiveness of your outreach. In terms of engaging those professionals, what we can offer them are opportunities to engage with students and give back, to help students form their identities in terms of maybe changing the idea of what does it mean to be an accountant? What does that look like? So changing that representation. For newer professionals, this can be a great opportunity to give them resume builder experience or leadership opportunities. So that's one of the ways you can appeal to these professionals. And for more experienced professionals, you can focus on succession and legacy. How are they going to impact the profession? And how are they shaping the next generation of CPAs? So once we know our audience, we're going to talk about how you can build a team. I've grouped this into 3 buckets. As promised, you should not and do not have to do this work alone. So if we look at the first bucket, these are our industry partners, okay? People like the MICPA, the MAF, firm partners that your program might work with, and alumni from your program. And we can go to them to help secure funding for our outreach, to provide speakers, to get access into high school programs. One of the things when I started doing this work that surprised me is that there is a little bit of gatekeeping when it comes to just putting college educators in front of high school students. I can't believe this, but they think we're going to try to recruit them to our programs or something. And so having kind of a partner who you can, that maybe the high school program's more familiar with to come in with can kind of help lend you some credibility and get into those classrooms. And finally, there's a lot of great presentation materials. We've linked some resources for you at the end of the presentation. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can use some activities that are already in existence. The second partnership group I want you to pay attention to are partners within your own institution. I cannot stress how powerful some of these partnerships can be. Your admissions department is a great resource, development office, early college programs, they're already on your campus. I mean, half the work is done for us. And then athletic departments as well. Some of our institutions, mine included, recruit heavily through athletics, so having good relationships with those coaches can help sort of funnel students your way. So from those partners, we can improve our impact, and we'll talk a little bit more specifically about that in our plan. You can also make sure that your efforts align with your institutional strategy. This is really important because one of the things I want to kind of impress upon us is that this work isn't just for the benefit of high school students. This can also bring value to our own programs, our own standing within our institutions, and help advance, our own personal careers as well, frankly. So making sure that the outreach that you're doing is aligned with your institution's strategy can be helpful in using those efforts for assessment, for promotion and tenure, and then to secure funding from your institution as well. And finally, it helps you identify low-hanging fruit. The example that I have here really is with that early college partnership. This past year, I had several early college students in one of the principal's courses that I was teaching and did not realize it. Once I connected with the early college coordinator on campus, I was able to identify which students in my courses were early college. We were able to sit down with them because they had had a good experience, talk about some scholarship opportunities, and ultimately we retained some of those students into our accounting program. So again, they're already on your campus. It's an easy win. And finally, your colleagues, so the people in this room, your fellow accounting educators at both the collegiate and the high school level, your other business faculty, and we'll touch on why that's so important in a minute, Your existing students, again, deputize them, make them ambassadors. It's good for their development as well. And other organizations that you may already be partnering with. And so the benefits of leveraging those partners are many hands make light work. It also helps to expand your reach. A lot of times high school students aren't really ready to jump on the accounting bandwagon. Surprise, surprise. And so instead, if you actually engage with these students and you say, well, what are you considering after graduation? What are you interested in? They're going to talk to you about business. They're going to talk to you about being an influencer. They're going to talk to you about entrepreneurship. And so having partnerships and outreach that is based more around those broader themes can help kind of crack the door open to then talking about, well, actually, accounting uses a lot of those same strengths and skills and comes with all of these benefits. So don't feel like you have to narrow in on the CPA right from the jump. Using a wider team can help give you a wider reach. Also, again, leveraging some of those partners can give you access to high school programs, and again, using your students for that improved relatability. Honestly, high school students don't really want to hear from a 40-year-old mom about what their future is going to look like. They want to hear from somebody who's doing it, and so your students can be really effective ambassadors if you choose them well. All right. Now that we have an understanding of who we're trying to reach and we've identified our potential partners and resources, it's time to make our outreach plan. This roadmap can be scaled up or down depending on the complexity of your outreach. Some of our easier activities may only require a few of these steps. Others that are heavier lifts, you're going to want to take the time and move through all 7 steps. All right. So our first step, identify your target audience and define your outreach objectives. So what is your desired outcome? Are you trying to recruit students to your program, raise awareness of the CPA profession, provide career exposure? What's going to make this a success for you and for your program? From there, we're going to focus on narrowing and targeting our audience. High school students is very broad. And so in order to do effective outreach, it helps to get a little more specific. The process that I've had a lot of success with is starting off by emailing your admissions team. And you're going to ask them for a list of high schools that your institution most successfully recruits from. That's going to give you a starting point to make sure that your outreach is going to, again, reinvest back into your programs. From there, you can identify any other high school relationships. There's that early college connection that we talked about that may be on your campus already. And the contacts from your home institution and the high school, and keep track of who those individuals are. Make your introductions. Finally, I linked a list here that's of high school programs with business CTE programs in the state of Michigan. So you can use that as sort of a word bank or whatever and go through, and you're going to look for any institutions on that list that are also identified from your previous steps. And so that's going to help you make sure that as you're putting all of this work and effort in, that it's going to be with an audience that's receptive to your message and is likely to help strengthen your program as well as the CPA profession. All right, now it's time to select what kind of an activity you want to do. And we've scaled up and down here. So our first is easy activities. I'll let you read through these. You can join a CTE advisory board. You can partner with DECA. For these opportunities, it's usually 10 hours or less of investment, and I would say pick 2 to start. Our moderate opportunities are listed here as well. You can review those, but these might be things like recording a short video promotion for your program and sharing it with an admissions team meeting. A lot of times, even though we think of high school outreach as being to the student, it's not exclusively to the student. Your admissions team can be a nice liaison for your program, and educating them oftentimes will pay significant dividends. So some other ideas for you are listed here. And then we have our more challenging opportunities. These might be doing a one-day summer business camp with your fellow business faculty, recording a series of promotional videos. I like that one because you can use it for assessment, you can use it for recruiting, you can use it for development. So having quality videos to share your story gives you easy content that you can reuse again and again. Another good option is the high school case competition. That's one that I'm running with the help of the MAF Educators Grant for spring 2026, so we're really excited about that, but it is a heavier lift. So if you want to start off with something easy, build that foundation of good partnerships, and then you can move forward with some of these larger events. Some general tips as you're selecting your activity. First, offer programming with value. Consider incentives both for your participants and for your partners. You're asking people to invest their time and energy into this, so you need to consider what are they going to get out of that. It might be stipends for partners written into some of your funding. It might be badging for students and participants or prizes. It might be leadership opportunities for younger professionals who are looking to kind of establish themselves within the professional organization. But pay attention to those things and make sure you're offering something for everyone. Find repeatable opportunities. Do not rebuild the wheel every time, right? We want to do an investment up front and then use that over and over again for cycles to come. Focus on things that are going to help the students form that identity, identify those strengths, and plug them into the profession. That's really where their focus is. And along with making use of those broader themes we discussed, meet them where they're at. Finally, I want to touch on a study that the CAQ did, which is telling a better story. And so these are the messages that resonate the most with high school students. The first and most effective messaging that they found was around the numbers that count. And this is the personal benefits that come with a CPA, which we're also familiar with. So provide transparent salary information, talk about career progression, emphasize the job stability and security. So all of those lifestyle benefits that a CPA affords them, students are really receptive to that and more in certain times like this one. Second message that was super effective was the flexibility. So I think this was choose your own adventure. And so this is the idea that with a CPA, you can do anything. Any area that you're interested in relies on CPA professionals to help it achieve its goals, and so you can plug in anywhere, and you have flexibility to change your career as you advance. And then the third message that was effective was basically around job security and stability. I don't remember what they called it, but it was the idea that your accounting career is going to be here for you in good times and bad. All right. So for step 3, once you have your activity and you've made your choice, identify who can help you execute it and assign roles. I love a good ChatGPT shortcut, I'm not even gonna lie to you. And so this is a good place to plug it in. Once you have your outreach planned, use ChatGPT or other resources to help you set up your timelines, make a planning checklist, and identify what some of the roles are going to be that are going to help you have a successful event, and then recruit to those roles. So I've listed some common ones here. Pro tip from somebody who has definitely done this before, do not assign yourself to more than half of these roles. We want to focus on the best use of you, and that's not everything. So pick and choose the places where you're going to use yourself, and then rely on your team. For step 4, it's important to be intentional in the timing and format of your activity. High school educators have a very tight academic year, so it's important to keep in mind necessary lead times and potential scheduling conflicts. I've listed some of them here that I've run into in the past. Spoiler alert, it's all year. But in talking with high school educators, early March can be a sweet spot if you can work around the spring breaks. And if it's not something that requires existing technical knowledge, you can go ahead and push it at the beginning of their quarter or their semester where there isn't as much going on, and kind of your career exposure activity is a good fit. But pay attention to those. Take the time to look at the district calendars, because it can make all the difference in terms of an educator's willingness to partner with you based on when you're asking them to make that space. All right. Step 5, you got to develop your materials. So you can use existing materials, you can write your own, or you can enlist a partner. Again, focus on the best use of you. Regardless of the source, make sure that your content is age and skill level appropriate. I made this mistake in a case competition. I wrote something, I adapted a principal's project that was not high schooler friendly, and I found out the hard way. So this year, when we're doing the high school case competition, I recruited 2 high school educators who I have good relationships with to write and review the case for me. So that's a good example, again, of thinking about your audience, what's going to be appropriate, and then the best use of you. Regardless of the source, we want to make sure that our content adds value and achieves your desired outcomes. So again, revisiting how are you incentivizing participants to engage with your activity. And you also want to make sure that your materials are comprehensive, which means including teaching guides, solutions, or grading rubrics as appropriate. So think about how you're going to make it easier for people to engage with your content. And finally, don't forget your promotional materials, because you also need to take time to plan how you're going to get the word out and recruit to your event. Step 6, all right, the day is here for your event. Here's some tips for you to make it a success. Make sure that you use event planning checklists. This is not in a lot of our regular wheelhouses. You can also coordinate with your campuses and leverage their expertise in these event planning areas. Make sure that you plan specifically your welcome, your closing, and your transition between activities. So those transitions a lot of times can be the difference between a polished event and something that's a little bit more off the cuff. And then the most important thing is to keep yourself available to engage with your participants. It's the whole point of what you're doing. So find other people to do all of the things and just really be present with the students that you're trying to communicate with and reach. Listen and learn about the students as much as you present. That's what it's all about. Our final step, measure feedback and deepen your relationships. So use surveys to evaluate your effectiveness, report outcomes back, and then tweak your event for future iterations. Thank your partners and participants, and this is one that I do want to hammer home, reinforce the community and identity that you fostered from your activity. So different groups do this in different ways. The picture shows how I do it in my program. Students at the end of the semester always get a card from me thanking them for all of their hard work, wishing them a happy summer, happy holiday, whatever it might be. And on exam days, we always have cookies. So those are two things that have kind of become like trademarks of our program. You know, even to a point where when they graduate, their card has the cookie recipe in it, and it's a big thing for them. So what are some of the things that you're doing to create identity within your program that you can share with these high school students? I went to MSU, and so from day one on campus, you know that if somebody says go green, you're supposed to say, right? You see how the gimmick works. And even our own MICPA, Bob's here today, but if you've been to any of those events, he always takes a selfie with the group, and that is bringing everyone in. That is on purpose, and you can do it too. And then finally, encourage future engagement. So you want to find how you're going to connect with those partners moving forward to deepen the relationship. I listed some resources here, and I'm going to hit 3 key takeaways, and then I promise I'll turn it over. The first takeaway I want to emphasize for you is high school engagement matters for the future of the profession and for the health of our programs and institutions. You can start small and scale your engagement organically. It doesn't have to jump in with a huge multi-day event with a whole host of high school students. You can really start with something as small as joining those CTE advisory boards. And then the third is to use your team. Oh, I've got 4. High school engagement is important, but you already have a full-time job, so don't do all the heavy lifting yourself. And finally, to make the most impact, remember to offer something for everyone. That means participants, parents, and all of the stakeholders. Be aware of their needs and bring them into your family. So I'm available to talk at any point in time. If you're interested in doing more of this work, I'm really passionate about it. I'd love to share with you some of the things that I've done. I know Michelle does a lot of high school outreach with her lemonade stand program, and if you know Brian Newman over at Macomb Community College, I know they do a great high school program as well. So those are some resources for you. Thank you.
All right, well, welcome everyone. We're going to take you on to the next phase. Over 40% of our college students will pass through a community college system. So Deb and I are going to talk about how we can help students, our community college students, transfer or transition to you at the university level.
Do you have the clicker or do
I have the clicker, so there you go.
So my thought here, you need students, right? Michigan needs CPAs. This is an awesome profession. I just retired and I'm looking back and saying all the variety I've had in my career, what wonderful things. It is that I brought Bob's glasses because it is the coolest profession. Right?
And it goes so well with a walker.
And it
Deb.
thank you.
Goes so well with a walker, doesn't it?
This is my little hiccup. This is a back rug, backache gone rogue, and for last Friday I couldn't stand it. I ended up in the hospital, but I'm much better. It'll be fine. We can move on. Let's do this.
All right.
I wanted to show you guys, and we might repeat a little bit of what Katie was saying. We are all over the map on this matter. Okay, we have a huge pipeline dip, right? But look at all the people that are working. We've got employers working, educators, the profession, and different agencies. Joint efforts for legislative, consistency and sense, right? Things that work. Being able to get our students in with the pipeline advisory group, initiatives, culture changes, The biggest thing is, how are we speaking? I was talking to Rick David on the drive up today, and he's talking about when he does recruiting now, it's about finding a match for the student or the young professional, their starting career. It's not about, you want to work with us and you're lucky we'll pick you, which is what was it in my day, right? It was very different. And times have changed. And so we're here now with faculty programming through the AICPA, right? The Academic Champion Program has done an awful lot of outreach. And so far they've tracked with state societies, more than 1,000 volunteers have touched 40,000 students on this message alone, right? We have impacted the messaging and we are attracting students. The 2-year Bridge Symposium that AAA Foundation Project is doing on, and Michelle and I and Kevin Kobleski at U of M Dearborn are working with them to be able to reach students in a full day, in depth, much like the MICPA's high school leadership course, but it's giving them these are very high promising high school students that we can bring into the profession. We challenge you and invite you to take the Pipeline Pledge with us, and I've got a little link up there if you want to hit it, but it's also on a number of the websites. But we want you to tap into us. I am connected with NABA, IMA, CFE, just about IIA. Give me an acronym and I'm probably connected, and let's work. For the first time, future accountant sponsoring organizations are working together cross-disciplinary. We are no longer competing to say that, well, CPA only, right? We're saying CMA has value. Institute of Internal Audit certifications have value. Let's get them into accounting and let's let them choose. All right? So far, future sponsoring organizations realize that 39% of the accounting students chose accounting before they even got to school, right? 46 of them figured out that they're going to go into taking accounting after they took an accounting major course. That's how it worked for me. It wasn't calculus. I could do it. Okay? But we're keeping it, as Katie mentioned, right? 66% of the students that are choosing it are saying because of job demand. There's never been a better time to be an accountant, right? 80% of the students that choose accounting have attended events that have been done with accounting professionals. So we need to build our network and draw from all of these the professional organizations that are circling around our schools and are supporting the professionals with the chicken dinner groups that's once a month, right? They come together, they get some CPE, they learn from each other. These are the professionals that matter, that want to reach our students, and so let's connect with them. These are results so far, right? 29,302 students. 312 students nationwide. Now, how that impacts in Michigan, I don't recall, I don't have those numbers. Overall graduate enrollment only went up 1.5%. That's still a huge hurdle. We're working with the legislator to remove that hurdle. But we still want students to pursue graduate education because we still need accounting professors, right? Because we're retiring too. We need butts in our seats as well. So one of the programs that we've been doing with the MAF and with the MICPA, and what Michelle has really kindly sponsored, and we want to highlight that, along with Katie's case competition and what they're doing at the other schools, Michelle has an amazing outreach program that she did at Schoolcraft, and that we want to be able to package along with high school leaders and take around the state. And so let's take it away.
All right, well, thank you. So in Michigan, actually our enrollment growth is not that 12%, and you guys probably know that. However, what I will say is we are noticing growth in the community college area and the associate's degree. And, why is that happening? I don't have the exact answer, but I can tell you I believe that the Michigan Community College Guarantee is certainly helping that area. So, Katie said something that was of interest to me. The reason she's doing it is because it helps our own professional careers, right? I have a job because there's students who want to sit in my classroom and take my classes. So how can we capture those students, have them come through a community college, and then have them prepared for you? So when I got involved with the National Pipeline Association group, we really wanted to touch this untapped market of community colleges. So when I came back, I tried to do an event on our campus, and this is the event I'm going to share with you. And I want to tell you why I did it. How many of you really wish your students wouldn't self-advise on how they should transfer to a college? Self-advising adds costs, adds time, adds frustration. So we wanted to put our students in touch with advisors so that they could maximize their experience at a community college so that they are not taking additional credits when they get to you. That was one thing that was happening. The other thing that was happening was recruiters. Recruiters will go out to your university campuses, and they're starting to go to your university campuses when? Freshman, sophomore year of college? Now, the community college student isn't going to get to you till maybe their junior year. So they were losing opportunity of getting on those firms' radar. So it's kind of why we did this. We wanted to support our students making that transition. Now, I wanted to share with you, I wasn't going to put this picture up here, but I wanted to share something with you because I said we also want to avoid them using the mistake of asking AI. How many of you are frustrated with AI right now? A little bit? It does help, and it's good at some things, but it's not good at everything. So I wanted to be funny, and I'm like, all right, make me a meme, and I gave them this phrase, friends don't let friends self-advise. I tried it 5 times. 5 times. And this is what I got. All right, the first time it had a bunch of errors, so I said, please fix the spelling. And I did that. And finally, after the 5th time, AI came back to me and said, you've reached your limit. And I said, you are absolutely right. I have reached my limit. I'm done. There's the picture. So it gets some of it, but it doesn't get all of it, which is exactly the point of friends don't let friends self-advise.
But it gets the point across too, because how many times have you had a student say, don't take that professor, they're awful, but that's the best professor on campus.
Yeah.
It's the right match for the student,
Yeah.
right? They give each other terrible advice.
Okay, so let's lead up into the event. We identified 3 key objectives of the event. 1, we wanted it to start out exploring the accounting profession. 2, we wanted to support the student in understanding what it takes to transfer from community college to a university of choice. And 3, we wanted to allow them the opportunity to network with recruiters. Okay, who should attend this event, right? Katie said, know your audience. We wanted to go after any student who was potentially interested in accounting. So that meant we went outside of the accounting courses and also expanded it to our business students. So we wanted business and accounting students. And then we thought, well, hey, there's students who are interested in transferring, and we're going to have these transfer institutions there. Maybe we can catch them too. So we looked at business and accounting students and transfer-minded students. Okay, there we go. Timing of the event. Before I started looking into this, I did not know this existed. Did you guys know there's a National Transfer Week for community colleges? There is a National Transfer Week. It's usually the 3rd week of October. So what we decided to do was on our campus, right? Katie said it, use your colleagues across campus. Our academic advisors and transfer office hosts a series of events during Transfer Week. So our team decided, actually by luck, I will say, I'm going to say it was by luck, we did it the Friday before Transfer Week. But the reason I say this is because you can piggyback and have the students then go further and actually meet with academic advisors when they're on campus and it's convenient for them. So there's a link to win the material and the resources through the National Transfer Student Week. Okay. I don't know why this, I might be getting too far away.
There you go.
There we go. Planning. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Form an organization committee, right? You don't have to do it alone. There are other people on your campus just as invested in getting students there as you are. So work with your, who's doing college advising on campus. Work with campus recruiters. Work with your student clubs. So we worked, at our campus, we worked with our business club. Identify a date, location, and a budget, and create an agenda.
From the university side of the house, get the students, when you're inviting your universities to participate, right? Get them to get their leaders from their student clubs to come and represent the universities. Because those are who the students really want to connect with, other young people that have gone to that other school. And it helps. Again, we're talking developmental as we step along.
Yeah, we'll see that. We'll see that in
Sorry,
suggestion for the agenda.
Slide. Sorry.
That's okay. Can you push it forward to a slide?
There you go.
Sample agenda. She teed me up here for our sample agenda. Timing-wise, I went from 11 to 1:30. I did it on a Friday because we don't host classes on Fridays, so it wouldn't
Done good
interfere
pizza.
with their regular school schedule. I gave you a sample here. The first is we start out with a keynote speaker that would excite them and fire them up. When you think about a speaker, Katie, I think you said it best, think of the professional you're putting in front of them, because that's what they're going to associate with the profession. So MICPA has been great in providing guest speakers for us. They have a wide swath of speakers they can pull from if you don't know anybody in particular that you want to bring in.
It's important that they reflect enthusiasm, excitement, energy. They need to be fun, right? Green eye shades, note cards, talking to the table, not going to do it.
Yeah. Then we had a panel discussion.
Polite but brutal, sorry.
Yeah. Then we had a panel discussion, and this is where we had young professionals. Back to Katie's point, they want to be able to see themselves. So we had young professionals, and those young professionals had community college in their educational pathway. This is where our recruiting, our firm partners came into play. They actually brought in their own employees. From there, we went and brought our academic transfer advisors in. Now, I particularly partnered with two schools, and that was the University of Michigan Dearborn and Wayne State. The reason we did that is because they take a lot of our students, and that's where our students were interested in going. And then we finish up with lunch. Gotta feed them, give them some lunch. We had prizes, right, that incentive. Not only did the students receive extra credit from their instructors, there was prizes. And then we had the opportunity to network. So in addition to our campus recruiters being there and our young professionals, we invited the trustees from the MAF, the Michigan Accountancy Foundation, to come, and they were also on hand to talk with students.
You want to try and have someone at each table because the students are shy. So we need to have people that are willing to engage the student, right, and just open the conversation up.
Yes. So speaking of the speaker, Katie, you mentioned the Center for Audit Quality. They just came out with an update on their pipeline, and they have a section in there on a speaker. This is what students were telling them who they wanted to see as a speaker. Someone who would be their potential boss, someone who had a background similar to their own, and someone who was closer in their own age. Katie, if you don't think they want to hear from a 40-year-old Mom, they certainly don't want to hear from a 55-year-old mom. So we want them closer in their age. I put a link so you can reference this study. It's really good. There's a lot of useful information. It is the latest update on what's happening in the pipeline. You can go to the next slide. Funding ideas. Utilize your campus. Check with your foundations on campus. A lot of times they have grants that you can utilize. That's how I did ours. Ask for firm sponsors. Firms are really willing to connect with community colleges. Our partners footed the bill for the food.
And they bring swag?
Yes, and they bring swag. And then you heard it before, but I put the MICPA, I'm going to say MICPA/MAF grant. Those usually come out beginning of January. Got to have it in by January 31st.
But start thinking about what you want to apply for now. We can talk about what those things, what we support.
Yes, I have less than 1 minute. So marketing, use your marketing department. Market. And I would say if you're going to do a fall event, I did the fall event. I had it ready before the semester started because that first week we do all those on-campus activities, so I had stuff all over the place. And utilize your student clubs to help push it. Can you go to the next one? Finalize your speakers, get prizes, finalize your catering order, promote. Again, use students. Final week checklists are great because there are lots of moving parts. Assign people to do check-in that is not you because you want to be available for those students. Follow up. You want to have follow up. Thank everyone who came. And then follow up with those students. And this was key. I had the students register, so I had all of their emails. After the event, I pushed out an email that said, here's all the firm contacts. Here's all the academic advisors' contacts. I really want you to go set up an appointment with them. And oh, by the way, it's transfer week next week. See all these other events we have on campus. Here's an example of a flyer that we did, explains everything. We wanted to leave you with resources. You don't have to recreate the wheel. So there's a Google Drive that I have all of the examples of the stuff that I did for last year. I am currently working on this year's. Here's our firm contacts. These 3 firms are really looking to get in and make connections with community colleges and university partners. So if you're interested in doing a program like that, please feel free to reach out with them. These are the 2 university partners I worked with at Schoolcraft. If we have any other universities out there that are interested in connecting with me, please see me at break. 2-year Bridge Symposium. Deb mentioned this. The Accounting AAA Foundation does a 2-year bridge program. This is open right now for students to apply to. But they must be 18 years old. They must have at least 6 community college credits, and they must be enrolled in a community college in the fall. There are 14 different locations across the United States that are doing this. We are fortunate. Detroit is one of them. They will be going to the PwC offices downtown. All right. I know we're coming up on a break, so during break, ask me questions, and then here's how you can reach out to Deb and I. Thank you so much. I apologize I went through that rather quickly.